feels so strange without Paul being here. Not making awkward faces and stupid little jokes and flipping off people in the beginning of the podcast. Seems like so much tradition now. But welcome again, ladies and gentlemen, to Threading and Dreading. We have a light crew tonight, but that's okay. We're still gonna try and get this out here as quickly as possible, and still want to get up a few. What?
You were doing exactly what I was doing.
I had an itch in the back of my head.
Here.
What?
I hate when you do that.
I didn't mean to do that. God.
Anyway. What were you saying?
So we have a little bit of a light crew tonight, but we're going to try and get a few more trailers out for you because there's been a few that were released recently. And, I know everyone couldn't show up tonight, but we'll still get them out for you. I'm going to go ahead and go around the room and introduce everybody. And to my left, we have...
Me.
Yay! It's Kim!
Ba-da-da-da.
The girl next door. How you doing, Kim?
I'm okay.
That's good.
Just dandy.
Just dandy. Handy dandy.
Sure.
And we have someone new tonight, in case you guys are hearing that laughter on the other end. We actually have... Karen, who is Robin's girlfriend, also known as...
Fangirl extraordinaire.
I like that name. And Karen is, do we want to say officially stateside, or?
Yeah, I think we can say that.
We can say that. Okay, Karen is officially stateside now. Up until recently, she had been living in Canada, but she's in town, we'll say close to permanently. Yeah.
Semi-permanently.
Semi-permanently, yes.
Yeah.
But if you hear her kind of coughing occasionally and
dying in
the mic, it's because she's not feeling too hot right now. Hopefully she'll be feeling better soon, but she picked up something on the way back to America because, this country is filled with plaguers, apparently. So I apologize for the cleanliness of our people, Karen. I won't apologize. But how you been, Karen?
I've been all right. I mean, other than the being under the weather part.
Yeah.
It's been all right. Not too bad.
You've had Belle to keep you company. You've
Yes.
been all right. It's so strange right now because usually we have Paul leading into our bullshit session. Because at the start of Karen, as I'm sure you've heard our podcast, we usually start off the first 15, 20 minutes with just a load of stuff that really has nothing to do with anything as far as our news or our trailers. But since Paul's in here, we have no segue into it.
So usually it's like Paul stories.
Paul shenanigans,
Yeah.
something like that, yeah.
Him just leading off into the most random
He
things
just hijacks
ever.
the podcast, yeah. I'm sure he's listening to this right now because he listens to all the podcasts at work. He's like, fuck you guys. Fuck you, Paul. Can't do anything about it, can you? You're not here. We're going to curse you out all night. Now you know how Ben feels. But before we do anything, I do want to give a quick shout-out. I mean, I don't do shout-outs on this show. I know. Shout-outs have died, I know. But I wanted to say a quick thank you to Chicago.
This isn't TRL.
I know it isn't TRL. Do they still have TRL?
I don't know.
They don't
I
show
don't even
music
watch
videos anymore. I
MTV.
don't think they would. But I do want to give a quick thank you to Chicago John, who invited me onto his podcast the other day, Do the Bear, and I had a great time with him the other night. It was a really fun podcast, and I want to thank him. And again, Chicago John, if you're ever on the East Coast, you want to stop by, you're more than welcome to, bud. So again, thank you. But what's new?
I bought a MacBook.
Oh, you
That's
did.
what's
That is news. Kim bought a MacBook. She's joined the religion that is Mac.
Oh my God. It sounds like something from Always Sunny.
Yes. Oh my God, the religion of Mac. That's kind of like what they did the last or a couple episodes ago, Mac Day. It was like that's basically what it was.
Okay, I think I fell asleep.
You did fall asleep, Brandon. That was a great episode where the whole day was dedicated to what he wanted to do, which was apparently the 7 days of creation in the Bible. So each thing he wanted to do had to talk about what God made on earth.
Okay.
So he had to like he said one day God created the water, so he decided to jump off a bridge for a Project Badass.
Okay.
And do stupid shit like that. Oh, and that's when Sean William Scott came in because he was Country Mac. Mm-hmm. He had City Mac, and then he had Country Mac. And Sean William Scott stole that episode. He was so fun. But I like that. Sadly, we're not watching it right now because at the same time as
American Horror Story Coven.
Yeah.
Coven.
Do you watch American Horror Story, Karen?
No, unfortunately, I do not.
You caught any of the seasons?
I don't watch many horror-related things. I think the only thing that's somewhat related that I've been watching is Sleepy Hollow. It's just got the right amount of cheese in it. So, but yeah.
American Horror Story is kind of the same way. There's a decent amount of cheese in there, especially this season. But I'm enjoying it so far. Have you been enjoying it, Kim?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm
it's
liking
only
it.
2 episodes.
It's only 2 episodes in, but I'm liking it so far.
Mm-hmm. As long as they don't try to push too much, like
Right.
the last season.
Right. American Horror Story Asylum, we talked about this a couple episodes ago. There was so much going on in that show. And like any one of the stories could have been a good story on its own. But because they had 10, 15 plots going on, it was so hard to follow the show. Like, Game of Thrones can sometimes be like that. But that's a show meant for all those characters. It's a character-driven show.
The American Horror Story is only for one season, that particular story.
Yes.
Game of Thrones is carried out. The whole thing.
For 4 seasons.
So you're allowed to develop everything on these
or
different...
3 seasons, yeah. I remember that when they introduced last year the whole concept of aliens in American Horror Story, I was like, what, really?
Yeah.
Are you really going down
lost
this?
me on that.
Yeah, I got so lost on the road because everything up until that point had been grounded at least on Earth. I mean, they brought in supernatural things. They brought up, zombies to an extent. They brought up ghosts and stuff like that. But then you bring in aliens. It's like you had me with, demons and the supernatural, but now that you're bringing aliens into it, no, enough,
Yeah.
I pray they don't do something like that this year.
I think they should have developed more on, like, what the doctor was doing and maybe go with that and, like, the serial killer.
Right.
Maybe just stick with, like, those 2, something like that.
That would have been good.
Not so many different stories.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. And I forget that actor's name who played that doctor.
Oh,
I really like him, too. Karen, have you been following anything recently? I know you said you've been watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right?
Yes, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Now, we haven't been catching up on it, but I heard the most recent episodes have been upsetting some fans.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen the most recent episode.
Okay.
So...
Well, Paul's been liking it, and that's, like, the biggest test right there, because since he's a massive Marvel nerd.
I really like it. But then again, I'm not the biggest, like, kind of superhero fan. Like, I've kind of jumped on the bandwagon, kind of when all the new superhero movies have just come out and stuff. So, but I am a Joss Whedon fan.
Yes.
So I've been liking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and just putting out there, I love Melinda May. If anybody's going to watch the show, Melinda May is awesome. A kick-ass Asian female character. I got nothing more to say to that, really. So, but yeah, no, I've been really liking the show.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. There aren't too many of them in TV.
No.
I mean, it's a hard demographic to appeal to, but the only ones that I can think of off the top of my head would be Lucy Liu and the new Elementary show.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of getting sick of Lucy Liu.
Yeah, she's been around for a while. But
yeah.
She's still...
And she hasn't aged. That woman does not age. It's creepy.
Yeah, it's true.
I look at her from, like, some of her early films and, like, oh, man. It was the one with Shanghai Noon. Shanghai Noon. I go back and watch something like that.
And she looks exactly the same.
And look at her now. She's exactly the same. And it's like 20-year gap.
Yeah.
What has happened?
I mean, have you seen the internet? I guess it's kind of like a meme, but it's, the thing where it's like Asian women aged 20, 30, 40, 50, and like they all look the same. And then once you hit 60.
There's a line you hit at some point.
And then it's just like,
what happened?
I don't know if you've seen that cartoon on the internet. It's really funny, but
there's kind of something like that with Sean Connery. You look at him from Indiana Jones, and you look at him current day, and he has not aged.
Yeah.
And the picture was age 60, age 80. At the bottom it says, when you hit max level, you stop leveling.
It's like, it's the same thing with the one with Keanu Reeves. Like, have you seen that?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. That one's really funny. Well, like, there was like this old like French painting or something with this guy who looks exactly like Keanu Reeves or something. I can't remember, but yeah.
There was one that I saw recently. I don't think it was a Da Vinci painting, but it was someone else. And if you look in the background, you see the TARDIS. Holy shit! It's so weird. And, like, people are like, no, it can't be the TARDIS. Like, no, it's the fucking TARDIS.
It's the Doctor. He went back.
I know that the Doctor was back. Good God. There's actually, that's a thing people go back and do. You go back and watch old movies and you look at old pictures and you discover things that were in the past that would look like things in current day. Like, there was one of I want to say a Groucho Marx film, and this woman walks by with her hand held to her face. Looks like she's talking on something, and then walks out of the frame, like 5 seconds later. It looks like she's talking on a cell phone. This was like 1922. What the hell is she using? It wasn't a handheld radio. It wasn't an earpiece, because she wouldn't be talking into it. So what was it? There's all these theories online of what it could have been. Some people are saying it was this old device where it would, like, amplify sound around you, and you would talk into it, and it would amplify your own voice. And it was like this box-looking thing you could hold up to your head. But no one knows what it is, because you can't tell. It's this rectangular thing she's holding up to her hand, and she's talking into it for like 5 seconds and walks off screen. And then that's the end of the scene. And everyone says it's a time traveler. When you roll out everything else, someone went back in time and brought in a cell phone. But then the theory is, okay, but there were no cell phone towers. How is she using the phone? You know?
Oh, brother.
Kim rolls her eyes. I'll see if I can find a link for that picture. I'll link it in the channel. But anyway, I mean, I'm not really following anything else on TV right now, sadly. Besides Face Off. Do you watch Face Off?
No.
Oh, get into Face Off. It's so good.
Is that like the makeup?
Yes.
So I've seen a couple episodes of it, but never really got into it.
Man, it's so good. And every episode now, Kim and I are like gritting our teeth at the very end because we don't want one of two people to be eliminated, but we really want one person to be eliminated.
Right.
There's this one person on there. We're not going to say who, in case people like the person, but there's a person on there who we just find so bland, and they just talk in a monotone whenever they're on screen, and all of their makeup looks exactly the same. Like, just get off the show. I understand the show isn't about actually having a personality, it's about your makeup, but just leave. Get the hell out of here.
Oh, my.
Oh, man. But so far, the season's been pretty good, and it actually goes back to something that I had been talking about with one of my screenplays. You know, one of the concepts I'd had with, like, the 7 Deadly Sins.
Right, yeah.
A couple episodes ago, they had the 7 Deadly Sins.
Oh, nice.
And every contestant had to do a makeup based on a sin. And some of them were really creative. There's one guy, Tate, who I think won the episode. His was Sloth. And his representation of Sloth wasn't actually practicing the sin. It was the punishment in hell. And so what it was a woman bound to a pole with a snake wrapped around her so she was unable to move, and then the back of the pole led up like a stairway to heaven to a crown. And it was the creepiest makeup I've seen in a while, but it was so well done. I was like, that is so clever. It's like, it's Sloth because, I mean, she can't move, but it's also how it's punished in hell. Like, that's so clever. I like that. Because everything else was just what these demons or what these people did in life. Right. You know, this was the actual punishment. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I would have liked to seen that for lust, because apparently in hell, if you are guilty of lust, you get blown around in like a cyclone for the rest of your stay in hell. Because apparently you were blown.
I can imagine worse things.
Yeah, but the thought is that because you allowed your emotions to easily sway you in life, thus the winds will sway you in hell, and so you're just blown around for the rest of your life, or in your afterlife. And that could have been incorporated into lust. You could have had, you know, like a big flowing dress that was blowing or something.
Right, but if they didn't know that. Then...
They didn't know that, but that's why you read Dante's Inferno.
I didn't know it was mandatory required reading to be on Face Off. You
well,
had to read Dante's Inferno.
Tate read it, and he incorporated it into his makeup, and that's why he won.
Oh, whatever.
Oh, I'm sipping my drink. Kim, what are you enjoying?
Your mom.
Kim is enjoying my mom. Thanks.
You're welcome.
My mom's going to listen to this now. She's going to say,
she's
what
not.
the fuck? She's going to say that my mom never curses. She's going to say, what the actual fuck? Kim is drinking a Dogfish Head Pumpkin Not pumpkin, punkin.
Pumpkin ale.
Pumpkin ale. And I actually saw a poll on Facebook the other day that said that was in the top 10 pumpkin brews in America. I think it was number 6 or 7. So I actually like it. You think it's a little too bitter, right? Not too much pumpkin in it?
No, I mean, it's good. I like it. I don't know. I'm not the biggest beer fan, even though that's what I've always drinking.
Yeah.
Contrary to popular belief, it's just cheaper. But
Kim's a cheap date.
Yeah. So I personally would rather have less beer taste, more pumpkin taste.
Like something like Samuel Adams or Blue Moon or something, right?
Yeah, or like in the coffee.
In the coffee, yeah. Yeah, I do like the iced pumpkin coffee that Dunkin' Donuts has right now. Mm-hmm. But, you know, it's going to go away soon. I don't know how long they have the pumpkins out. Probably until like the middle of November. Because after that, they start bringing out the Christmas, the mints and all that, yeah. Don't get me wrong, I like the mints too, but I kind of like pumpkin a little more. You know, I wish they would keep it a little bit later into the year.
Yeah.
You a fan of pumpkin, Karen?
Sure, why not? Yeah, I mean...
Pumpkin everything!
I actually am not a big fan of pumpkin pie, though.
Oh my god, how do you live?
I know, blasphemy.
I love pumpkin pie!
Yeah, I just am not a fan.
That makes me cry inside.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I remember one time around, I think it was Thanksgiving, my mom had actually made sweet potato pie. And I looked at it, I'm like, oh, my mom made pumpkin pie. No, sweet potato. My mom tried to trick me because I didn't really like sweet potatoes. She's like, oh, Mike, have a slice of pumpkin pie. I take a bite, and I'm like, this isn't pumpkin pie.
Oh, no.
She's like, oh, no, it is. I said, bullshit. This is not pumpkin pie. I know my pumpkin pie. And just because it's kind of close to the same color, they're not going to trick me, woman. But no, I couldn't live without pumpkin pie. That's like pumpkin pie with a little bit of vanilla ice cream. Oh, I'm done.
for me, it's apple. It's apple pie.
No, don't get me wrong. I like apple pie too, but I don't know. If I'm living on one pie for the rest of my life, it's pumpkin.
Probably my favorite pie would be chocolate pie. Chocolate
pie? Oh, like a chocolate mousse pie kind of deal?
Yeah.
Oh, those are good.
That's what my aunt makes every year for Thanksgiving. It's like a big... She has to make at least 2 of them because my family just eats them all up. But,
one thing that Kim and I are doing now, because we're bouncing between 2 Thanksgiving, is I'm trying to learn not to eat too much at the first Thanksgiving. Yeah. It's like what happens is because we have our family get together for my family down in Odessa every year, and we go and we eat a decent amount. Probably about 2 hours in, we go to her family's Thanksgiving.
Okay.
But the problem is, like, I love my family's food at Thanksgiving, but it's like, oh, I can't.
Well, you hate my family's food?
No, I love your family's food too. That's what I'm saying. Like, whenever I go to her, I know. Whenever I go to your family's parties, I always overstuff myself. Always.
That's our tradition. That's our family tradition.
I know. And like,
isn't that everybody's family tradition?
It is.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But now I got to stuff myself twice, though. That's the issue. It's like, now I got to start bracing myself a month from now to start stuffing myself. Yeah. But her sister makes this monkey bread that is the greatest dessert I've ever had. I wouldn't even call it a dessert. It's just happiness, like just deep fried happiness.
It's not fried.
No, it's crispy.
It's baked in the oven.
Okay, baked happiness.
Talking about?
It tastes deep fried because it's like crispy and crunchy.
That's just from the sugar,
cinnamon,
icing that's on it.
Okay, still, it's so good, and I could just eat that all night. It's like, just give me that whole monkey bread. I'm done. But didn't Canada just have their Thanksgiving?
Yes, I moved all my stuff down here during Canadian Thanksgiving.
And is there the same traditions, different traditions, or?
It's pretty much the same, eating until you can't eat anymore. That's about it. Like, for us, we have this thing where if, we go around to, because I've got family up in Canada, and what they do is they do a weigh-in. So
a weigh-in?
A weigh-in, yeah.
Oh, my
That's
God.
So funny.
So
we should do that. We should totally do that.
Yeah, so they weigh in before the meal, and then, they eat, and then at the end, whoever has pretty much, gained the most pounds at the end wins for the night. Not exactly what they win, other than bragging rights.
A year of shame.
So, yeah, They do a weigh-in to see who eats the most during Thanksgiving.
They win diabetes.
Yay! Calls for the bypass comes through.
High cholesterol.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I feel like
funny.
I feel like we should start that somewhere. That's great. Well, if there's nothing else, we're actually going to get into a little bit of movie news here. Now, one that I'm sure Karen is going to get excited about is that Guillermo del Toro has confirmed that a Justice League Dark is happening. Ooh. Now, you know Justice League Dark? It's basically all the supernatural characters in the DC universe. So just to name off a few, you got like John Constantine, Deadman, Zatanna, Black Orchid, and sometimes Swamp Thing. It's basically them dealing with like the religious and supernatural things in the DC universe. Because if you recall, Superman's biggest weakness, aside from kryptonite, is magic. He can't fight magic.
Yeah.
And this is basically to combat that. There's a whole other Justice League to fight the magic section.
Right.
What, you laugh, Kim? What's so funny?
I don't know.
The fact that Superman can't fight magic?
Yeah.
I mean, well, I know I have some friends who just hate Superman. They basically just think he's a very poor written character, which, by the way, sorry to get a little sidetracked, just yesterday or today there was a video released for the 75th anniversary of Superman. Did you see this video?
No.
It's really clever. They showed the very first like action comic of Superman, and it was all animated until present day. Huh. And they showed it from the transition from the old comics to the new ones and all the silly stuff they did in between. Like there's actually one comic where he got into a boxing match with Muhammad Ali. Like they had really silly stuff in between, like, and they showed all his pet animals. Like there was Super Monkey, there was Super Dog, which was Crypto, and all that.
My.
And then they showed the death of Superman, and the resurrection and all that stuff. Superman is now Jesus, but and then it transitioned into modern day, and the whole time it was the John Williams soundtrack playing until it got into the modern day. Then it cut to the Hans Zimmer soundtrack for Man of Steel. And then at the very end, you saw Henry Cavill as Superman, but it was animated. Oh. And so it transitioned between all the animated shows and all the movies, but they were like animated versions, like you saw Christopher Reeve animated. It was so well done. I was like, this is really clever. Yeah. And I think Zack Snyder and another director had their hand in it. And it's like only a little 2-minute animation, but it was really well done. I'm like, I'm not even a fan of Superman, and this was really cool. Yeah. But anyway, we digress. Yeah. So Guillermo del Toro has... Wait. Yeah.
Oh, no. Since we were on, kind of got sidetracked, I have something to say. I don't know if you've seen it. There's also been, because we're talking about DC stuff.
Yeah.
A Wonder Woman fan-made video. I don't know.
I did see that. There's a couple floating around out there.
Yeah, like the one I saw was. I thought it was really well done. It was kind of split between her being in Amazonia and fighting alongside the Amazons, and also like kind of her fighting just bad guys, kind of like in some city thing. And if just wanted to, put it out there. If you guys haven't seen it, you should give that a watch.
I think I saw that, and it was good. Yeah. But there is actually, not to knock that one, but there is actually a slightly better one online.
Oh, is there?
There is. And it came out about a year ago. It may have been done by the same people. Okay. It kind of looks like the same type of cinematography, but that Wonder Woman, holy shit, she was like practically killing people she was going up against. Nice. She was just beating the hell out of them. And that one was shot all real time. There was no slow motion. It was just seamless action. I was like, that was really well done. Yeah. But no, I did see that. And that was really good. Yeah. And sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying, because people have kind of been floating the idea how Wonder Woman's kind of a hard character to do. Yeah. When something fan made comes out like that, you're kind of like, yeah. Like I do want to wait until people are ready to kind of make a good Wonder Woman film, but at the same time, it's like when you see something on the side made by fans that's done so well, you're like, it can't, please, just someone.
Yeah, you're right. That's absolutely right. And Paul had a good counter to that a while back. It's like, all the DC people are complaining, oh, you can't do Wonder Woman well, it's so complicated. It's like, Marvel is putting a raccoon into their film that shoots a machine gun. If they can be that convoluted, you can write a Wonder Woman film. It's like, come on now. But anyway, but no, actually on that though, I don't know if you heard a couple episodes back, we actually had discussed that CW is putting out an Amazon's miniseries. Or it may not be a miniseries, but it's actually going to be a series. It's going to run parallel to Arrow. So it is going to be the Amazons.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That may lead into Wonder Woman, but it may just kind of be like Smallville, with her basically just hanging around Amazonia.
Just hanging around.
Hanging with the other Amazons, you know. How's everything, guys? Oh, things good. Yeah, we hate men. Yeah, we hate men too. All right, cool. But they did confirm that. I mean, they've been writing that for a while, but hopefully within the next year that will be released. So we'll see if that leads to, any other tie-in they would have. Because right now it's looking like the Justice League isn't going to happen on film, but it may happen in television. Because you now have The Flash coming out soon for CW. You have Arrow, and you're going to have the Amazons.
Right.
So you're going to have 3 of the 7 for Justice League. Yeah. 'Cause you would have to somehow include Aquaman, but Aquaman is even tougher to do than freaking Wonder Woman.
Oh, yeah.
Then you have to have Batman and Superman. Now they're going to have the Gotham series coming out, which tells James Gordon's story, but again, that's not going to include Batman. Then you could somehow include Martian Manhunter or Hawkgirl or something like that for the 7th. And that's it. You've got your Justice League. So you could do it on television, technically, easier than you could on film. So we'll see what they do.
Yeah.
But again, we digress. So it has been assumed for some time now that NBC's commissioning of David S. Goyer's Constantine, which, by the way, they are doing a Constantine series, on TV was evidence that Justice League Dark was going to be shelved by Warner Brothers. But according to Del Toro, that is not the case. Quoting Del Toro, he said, "We have talked it out with DC and Warner Brothers, and I am confident that the two properties can exist at the same time. I think that DC is trying to create a great universe and expand it and make it clear to the audience that it's a landscape of characters, not just one that's developed into one or two." So what he's trying to say is there's going to be a Constantine series, but you could do Justice League Dark in tandem with that series. It may not even be the same network. You could try and somehow tie this in, because I would like to see a Constantine series, but I'd love to see a Justice League Dark series. I think Justice League Dark in the New 52, which is the new series of comics they released about close to a year ago now, maybe a little bit shorter than that. Justice League Dark, I think, is one of the bright points of the New 52. It's some of the best written and some of the best characters you have in the DC universe right now. Stuff with Deadman and Constantine and Zatanna, that's some really good writing they have going on. But it seems like DC's just getting a little too ahead of themselves. It's like, okay, you have the Justice League coming out soon, in theory, because you're going to be pushing Superman, Batman, and then after that you say you're going to do Justice League. Now you're saying you're going to do Justice League Dark. Well, how about you focus on one thing and make that good? It's like, don't get me wrong, I want to see Justice League Dark, but make one thing good first, It
sounds like they're just diving headfirst into all these series, television series.
It's true. And not only that, but Guillermo del Toro can sometimes geek out on stuff that's not true. He wants to get his hand on everything. He's kind of like J.J. Abrams. He wants to get in on everything, And he may be jumping the gun on this a bit, because he wants to do it, but DC may be like...
Oh, he's just announcing this himself.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, and he's saying that, he has been confirmed to direct Justice League Dark, but DC had kind of stepped aside and said, well, hold on, let's kind of back up a minute. We may not have time to do this right now, because we're going to be doing Justice League.
And it's still going to be a television show?
Justice League Dark?
Yeah.
It doesn't say on here.
Okay.
The Constantine series is going to be on TV, but whether or not that's going to run in tandem to another television show or a movie remains to be seen. So we'll see what happens with that, but I really want to see Justice League Dark. I think that would be great. Yeah. Now moving on, there's another one which just screams, okay, they have nothing else to make. Sony Pictures and Rovio Entertainment greenlight Angry Birds film.
As soon as you said Rovio, I knew.
Rovio Entertainment has announced that Fergal Riley and Clay Tavis will be directing Angry Birds, an upcoming 3D CGI animated based on Rovio's best-selling app. It's slated to be released on July 1st, 2016. Now, these two guys have been working on, I think, mostly Walt Disney Pictures shorts. The one guy's been working on Tangled and the follow-up short Tangled Ever After, and the other gentleman, Riley, was working on Clyde with a Chance of Meatballs and Hotel Transylvania. So they're not inexperienced animators or directors, but still, this doesn't need to be made. No. It's a game about flinging birds at pigs. Right. How are you going to translate that into a 90-minute film? Seriously.
It's going to be a full length?
It'll be a feature-length film. Yeah, it's not just going to be like a short. It'll be a feature-length film. How? Like, there's nothing, there's no story. Pigs steal eggs. Birds want to get their eggs back. What story is to tell? For the love of God.
I don't know.
It's going to go up there with, like, the Candyland film. You know? It's
yeah.
Base an entire movie off of a game where you match colors to a card you draw. You know? Oh, my God. I'm sorry.
You could say, like the original Mario games are more involved than Angry Birds, but almost like the same thing. You can't really make a movie about a turtle stealing a princess and then plumbers going and getting her.
Which is why the Mario Brothers movie failed.
Exactly.
Don't get me wrong. I still love moments of that Super Mario Brothers movie.
Was he a dragon?
No. He was like a lizard of some sort.
A lizard?
Yeah, he was like a big lizard. Well, he had a shell, I think.
I think he was a turtle.
Was he a turtle?
He's just a massive, giant,
horned
turtle. Yeah, big evil snapping turtle or something. Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Well, considering some of the enemies you fight are turtles, that would kind of make sense.
Right. Yeah.
The Koopas. The Koopas, and but
no wait, I don't know.
No, not the Koopas. Oh God.
No, the turtles.
Yeah.
The turtles. Turtle.
Oh my God, I sound like such an idiot.
Am I not turtly enough for your turtle club? God, I'm really stretching that reference. Holy hell. Oh, man, I'm sorry I quoted that.
You should be.
But anyway, I have nothing to say about that. That's like, come on. Really? Sony Pictures, I know you're not making a whole lot of animated films. They made Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, which the first one was good. We didn't see the second one. But there's nothing else you can make.
Is the second one even out yet?
Yeah, it came out about a few weeks ago, I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I just don't get it. Why would you?
Because they're banking on the popularity of the game to get money.
Agreed.
Just like why? Like it doesn't. They actually have physical games of this video game, or can you call it a video game?
Yeah,
it's just an app.
Yeah, it's an app. It's a video game. But now they have like little birds you fling into like brick walls.
Right. Yeah, and like that's not like it doesn't translate well to that, but they're still making it so they can profit off of it.
Yeah. Now, here is my thought. 3 years from now, is this still going to be a popular game?
No.
That's the biggest gamble. Think about that. I mean, the game's been out.
Oh, that's right. The movie comes out in
2016.
Oh, I missed.
It's the popularity of the game has already declined so much.
Yeah,
since
it has.
First came out,
and even now they're stretching it. It's like they're putting out Star Wars, which I like the Star Wars version. That was fun, but the game's been out for 4 years now. If it had come out now, the film might be a little bit of a success.
Right.
It's like the thing they're doing with the World of Warcraft film. The Warcraft film is coming out in a couple years. The popularity of Warcraft has already died.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's still popular, but it's nowhere near the 13, 14 million people who were playing it originally.
Right.
Now it's about 7.5, 8 million. It's declining now. And now you're going to release a film a year from now based on that game. No one's going to want to see it.
Right.
The popularity's gone. It's going to be the same thing with Angry Birds.
Plus, with Angry Birds, they are appealing to kids now.
Yeah.
And that, like, if they want kids to go and see this movie, they're not, because kids are going to move on to something else within 3 years.
Well,
something
also
totally
they're
different.
Be older as well.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That I just don't know.
It's just poor planning.
If they had planned this maybe a year from now, but that'd have to be a quick turnaround from a green light, maybe they could salvage something. 3 years, they'd have to re-release this game several times. And I know they're always releasing new versions. They have Angry Birds Go coming out soon, which is like a kart racing game. And they have a couple other versions. They have the Star Wars 2 coming out.
Right.
And they're going to keep coming out with stuff. It's not going to die. The game's still going to be around in 3 years. I can guarantee that. But is it going to have the same popularity?
No.
I can almost guarantee no.
No.
So, oh well, Sony Pictures, you're going to have to live with that one. But one last bit of news came up this past weekend at New York Comic Con, was that X-Files stars want a third film. So
The Stars?
the Stars want a third
That's
film.
interesting.
So
Usually it'd be the fans demanding a film.
yeah, usually.
Not the actors.
Yeah, usually. Now, here's what happened. The show is actually celebrating this year its 20th anniversary. Just think about that. X-Files this year is celebrating its 20th anniversary, and they're celebrating it at New York Comic Con. And Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny were being interviewed, and they both said they would like a third installment. Duchovny was quoted as saying, "All the principals are on board. Gillian and I want to do it, so it's really up to 20th Century Fox at this point." Anderson answered that it takes the fans' encouragement to get Fox interested in it, then I guess that's what it'll have to be. So they're basically saying it's about the fans. The fans have to come up and demand it. They have all the crew ready. They have all the cast ready. It's just a matter of the fans wanting it.
It's like they're doing Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
Demand it in your
demand it in your town.
city.
Yeah. But that's just it. Is anyone going to demand another X-Files film? That's the key question. My thought is no.
I didn't see the last X-Files movie.
You didn't miss a thing.
I watched. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if I got through all the seasons or not, but I watched most, if not all, of the seasons, and I did see the first movie. And I mean, I really liked the television show, so I mean, I guess depending on what they did with the movie, like where they ended it, I would have to see that to see if I would want to move on. Or maybe that if that was so bad, then get something else to get rid of the bad taste in your mouth from the second movie.
Right. Now, I'll say this. Like you, I was a huge fan of X-Files growing up. That was like my Star Trek. I loved that series. I was addicted to it. And the first movie, I really enjoyed. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a flawless movie. It had its problems, but I really enjoyed it. The one that came out in 2008, I think that was X-Files I Want to Believe. That was a piece of shit. No, seriously, it was a piece of shit. It had hardly anything to do with any of the canon characters from the show. It had to do with stuff with like beheading and like putting heads on the different bodies. It's like, what the fuck is going on here? And then the ending is this biggest fan service. So I was like, oh my god. I won't give it away in case we ever decide to watch it at some point, but
okay.
I hated it. I absolutely hated it. And now they're saying they want a third one. Well, here's the thing. These fans have moved on. Would I watch another X-Files film? Sure, but I don't need it. I don't have to see it. Right. The first time the X-Files film came out, I was like, yes, I need an X-Files movie. Second one came out, I'm like, okay, I'll see it. Third one, meh. I'll just say that, meh. You know, and that's all I'll say. I'm not going to rush out to the theater to see it. I don't care. I really think this is just the actors wanting more work. and that's cynical of me, but I really think it's just the actors wanting more work. Now, Gillian Anderson is getting work right now. She's on Hannibal. We don't watch that show, but she's actually on Hannibal. And I think David Duchovny is doing something. I think he's on Showtime, Californication.
Is that
right.
show still on?
I don't know if it's...
I don't know. Well, it was on until recently.
Yeah.
So he had been getting work.
Yes.
So
he went into rehab for sex addiction, didn't he?
Oh, God.
Oh, really?
I thought so. Maybe I made that up. It's very possible that I made
was that
it
part
up.
of the show? I know that he has a lot of sex
right.
in the show.
Yeah, but I thought
I don't know. I've never
something that he was like in real life. Yes, he was actually a sex addict.
Huh.
I feel like we're just starting rumors. It's like David Duchovny was. It's like I heard that David Duchovny likes to go in a closet to have midgets choke him. I heard that somewhere.
No, I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
No, you could absolutely be right. I have no idea.
To me. Don't we have a fact checker on this podcast?
That's Robin. Robin is our fact checker, but sadly he's not here tonight. No. So, and oddly enough, my Wi-Fi is now working again. But again, our fact checker isn't here. So, oh well.
It almost sounded like you said fag checker.
No, fact checker. God, Paul's gonna kill everybody. So I don't know. I wouldn't want to see a third X-Files film. I mean, again, as much as I love the series, it's done. Let us enjoy what we have, what we had, and move on.
It depends on how much they resolved everything.
Right. And I'm not going to ruin that second film for you. And because that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
About resolution.
Okay. And also, like, I would think some people might want to see it just for, like, the nostalgia of it. Like, just going and you're like, oh, my God, I missed this show. It was awesome.
Yeah, now, if they were to do another show, I'd watch it. If it was a show, I don't know if I'd watch another movie. I don't know, because the last movie was so bad, I just wouldn't want to watch another movie.
Okay.
I mean, it just depends. I mean, I guess it just depends who they get to write it.
So basically, you're just an X-Files movie hater.
Yeah, I am. I really am.
Just like you're a Harry Potter hater.
Okay, we're not going to get started on that. No. Hold on. No, don't you dare believe her. No, I do not hate Harry Potter. She has been perpetuating this stereotype that I am a Harry Potter hater, and I am not. Great. No. Okay, here's...
Okay, no. I'm going to explain it because you don't do it. Okay.
Fine, go ahead.
Every time, if he talks about Harry Potter, he always has to bring up the same issues that he has with the movie over and over again, no matter what it is that you're talking about. You could be talking about, like, just mentioned, like, the word Harry Potter, and he's like, oh my God, I don't like this, about
I do
the movies.
not do that. I do not do that.
If you keep bringing up the same things, no matter what anybody says, you are therefore a Harry Potter hater. No matter if you like it in its entirety.
Some of the films. I like some of them.
You just harp on the same things.
But what I harp on isn't about the movies, it's about the fans of the movies.
No.
Yes. What I harp on is all the people who say, oh, well, it was explained better in the books. I don't like that argument.
No, that's not all you say. You say you don't like how you should read the book in order to understand the movie more.
Yeah. And I don't
that has nothing to do with fans. That's a critique of the movie.
Yeah, that makes sense. I agree with her.
It's the fans who are arguing that. It's the fans who if I were to watch the movie and that was the case, unless the film told me to do that, I wouldn't have a problem with the film. It would just be poor screenwriting.
But at the same time, like, regardless of what the fans say, you still hold that opinion. You still hold that opinion that... Right? But it's true, because you hold the opinion that... I can't seem to articulate that right now.
No. Okay, look. Yeah, it's my opinion, but it's the opinion that's being perpetuated by the fans. What I'm trying to say... what I'm saying is... Kim is right, and I do hold this belief, I do hold this argument, that a film is its own medium, and that you should be able to tell a good narrative within that medium. I shouldn't have to watch something else, or read something else, or view something else in order to understand the movie. It is its own medium. Now, if a fan comes to me and says, oh, you didn't understand the fourth film because you didn't read the book, I said, bullshit. Because the movie should have told that narrative within its own medium. I shouldn't have to read something else in order to understand that. Thousands upon thousands of movies have told good narratives within the movie. So why can't Harry Potter?
I agree with that, but I think at the same time, like, things which are translated from book to movie often... this problem often happens with that. Just simply because there's not enough time or whatever it may be for it to be completely translated from one. So the director, the screenwriter, or whatever has to make certain choices in terms of that. And I think what the fans are trying to say, because I'm a fan of both the books and the movies.
Yes, as am I.
Yeah, I think what fans are trying to say is that. Yeah, you probably would have enjoyed the movies probably better, because a lot of the time we fill in the gaps ourselves because we've already read the book, right? And it's not so much an attack on people who haven't read the book, but it's just that we kind of do it subconsciously because we kind of know that it's going to happen. And so, like, when we watch the movie, we probably watch in a different light than we would as someone who hasn't, and I see where that critique is coming from. But at the same time, I thought the movies, I like the movies, like, and I think that there were certain things done in the movies which actually, oh God, I'm gonna get killed for this, which were better than the book, and that I would have to say, I'm sorry, we're getting totally sidetracked here, but
no, that's okay, we always do that.
But, like, for example, I think the last fight scene, for example, like in the book, it was pretty bland, to be honest. It kind of just happened. Whereas they gave
I've
a
heard
little
that,
more.
yes.
They gave a little more action, at least in the movie. They gave it a little more credit.
Yeah.
I think, and it needed that because it was supposed to be an epic battle.
Right.
And what do we get in the book? Oh yeah, Harry Potter saw dead people. Like.
I love how you summed that up. He saw dead people.
Well, that's basically what happened, right?
I saw this image of Daniel Radcliffe underneath the sheets. I saw dead people.
But that's basically what it was. He went into the Great Hall and he saw dead people, and like, and that made me kind of, just like, okay, well, that was kind of anticlimactic. So I think that there were definitely parts in the movie which we need to give credit for.
Yeah.
Again, while I kind of understand where your critique is coming from, it's, Harry Potter hater.
No,
Yeah,
oh my
exactly.
God. Okay.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you.
I understand your point. Now, can I make a comparison?
Yes.
Something like, let's say, Lord of the Rings.
Right.
I did not read the books or the novel or anything like that until after I saw the movies.
Okay.
For this very reason. The narrative in Lord of the Rings, those films, is nearly flawless. They cut out some characters. They cut out some plot points, but you understand the narrative within those 3 films. And you didn't have to read the books in order to understand them.
Go ahead.
What I would just say, I guess that's not fair if you never read Harry Potter, but the writing styles of Tolkien and Rowling are 2 totally different styles.
Okay.
That I think that would have something to do with how they're like adapted to the screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you saying it's easier to adapt one than another?
I don't know. I don't do adaptation.
Okay. No, I know. I understand. But what I'm saying is that for years, for decades, people were saying we want a Lord of the Rings film. But everyone said no. It's impossible to adapt Lord of the Rings because there's so much material.
Yeah.
And then when they did it and it came out great, people were like, oh my God, it proves you can really adapt anything.
I think, again, part of that is also you look at the director and you look at, and stuff like that. Because, like, Peter Jackson was, like, huge Lord of the Rings fan going
Oh,
in,
yeah.
Right.
So, but, like, you look at Harry Potter and, as they were going through all the films, every film had a different director, pretty much a different director.
Yeah.
And each film, the way that it was adapted, it was different.
Yes.
And so, the continuity.
Continuity, yeah.
The continuity. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
The continuity kind of, was lacking in that sense, and kind of like, the gaps which needed to be filled and things like that. Like, each director kind of had a different vision in terms of what they wanted to do.
Which is
Yes.
why, if I could cut you off real quick, why I like the 3rd film more than any other. Because the director of that film is the same guy who directed Gravity. And I forget that director's name, Alfonso
Alfonso Cuarón.
Yes, something like that. I love his visual. I love his visual style. Yeah. And the 3rd movie, in my personal opinion, tells the best narrative within that film.
The 3rd book was also the best book.
Well, there you go. But that movie, I up until that point, now remember, to this date, I still haven't seen the first Harry Potter film. I've seen all the other films, but I still haven't seen the first one. That 3rd film told the best narrative where if I didn't see any of the other movies, I would understand that film. And that's why I appreciate it the most. He told the best narrative within that medium. And that's why I think not every film had to do that. I understand what certain films, like the 6th one, where it was basically just a carryover into the climax, you couldn't do that.
But that was the thing. That is what the 6th book was as well. It's basically what the 6th book with the Half-Blood Prince. That's what it was. Like,
it's a holdover to the climax.
Yeah, like
basically.
people were kind of disappointed. I mean, I don't know. Like, for me, I was kind of disappointed in the book as well a little bit. Like,
yeah, now those types of narratives are always weak. Typically, not always. I mean, you can have good carryover films. Like a perfect example, Empire Strikes Back.
Right.
Was a good holdover film to the climax. In fact, I would say some people would argue that Empire Strikes Back is better than Return of the Jedi, just because of its themes. You can do a good holdover film, but it's very hard to do, or a good narrative for a book, let's say.
Right.
And something like that, which I think Half-Blood Prince is like my second to least favorite of the films.
Yeah.
My least favorite would be Order of the Phoenix. just because
that was also the biggest book.
Yeah.
That was one of the thickest books, right? So like
I believe so.
Yeah, so the way that it's just how each book was adapted, right? And the kind of the narrative of the books as well that kind of played into it. So on the one hand, while you are kind of critiquing the narrative that was kind of in the movie, like, the book in itself, like, there were a lot of bits that you needed to kind of figure out what to put in and what not to. And I think that was just unfortunate that, it kind of turned out like, I can't. And they had to, because they had to focus on certain aspects of that book.
Of course, of course. No, again, and so I would say this to you calling me a hater. Okay? If you want to call me a Harry Potter hater, fine. But just know that I'm not just hating on Harry Potter. I'm hating on any adaptation that tells you have to read blank or watch blank in order to understand us.
Okay.
Okay?
I mean, it's not, the movie itself isn't expressly saying that. No. But, wait, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Did you reach this conclusion that it was lacking something in the narrative before this so-called fan came to you and said, you should have read the book and then you'll understand it better?
Well, I didn't know what had been included and what hadn't been included in the film.
Okay, right. Okay, and you wouldn't know.
But, okay, let's give an example. Let's say Order of the Phoenix then. Okay, so did I come to a conclusion that the narrative was weak before the fan talked to me?
Right.
Yes.
Did you... And that something
was missing.
Yes.
Well, I didn't know what was missing, but I knew it was a poor narrative. Yeah.
Okay.
I knew that it wasn't a well-told story. Yes.
Okay, so then you can't. So your argument that it's these fans telling you that in order to understand it, you have to read a book.
Yeah, true, but it's not. The movie isn't saying for further information do this. It's the fans who are doing that. If it was a poor narrative, I would let it rest. But then when I say something about the poor narrative, and then the fans say to me, oh, well, if you read the book, you'd understand it. Yeah. Well, go fuck yourself. I don't have to read the book.
I would think what the fans are actually trying to do is telling you that reading the books will help, and also you'll probably enjoy the movies more because the books were good. Yeah. And I think as fans of the books, they would actually have a similar kind of critique as you would, except they would put it in a different way. It's just that, well, they probably should have included this from the book. Like, right, I think exactly. that would be that. It's just, I think, the way that, it's been expressed. Because, again, as a fan of both the books and the movies, that's how I would put it. I'd be like, I would say, well, for the Order of the Phoenix or whatever it may be, like, I wish that they put blah, blah, blah in there instead of blah, blah, blah. Or they needed to have more of this or, and I think it was probably just the way in which that it was communicated. And
yes. Yeah. I think you just interacted with
the wrong fan.
Yes.
Wrong exactly. Okay.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Now, I will make that argument to people who, there were people who said that about Lord of the Rings, that there were some things that weren't included that made the film worse. For example, Tom Bombadil. Mm-hmm. Tom Bombadil was never included in any of the films. They reference him in certain lines. Some lines are borrowed towards, they go towards Treebeard and stuff like that. So other characters say his lines, but that character's never in the film.
Right.
And some people are like, oh, but Tom Bombadil's such a good character, which I like Tom Bombadil, but he doesn't serve the narrative. They go, they see Tom Bombadil, and they leave. What purpose does Tom Bombadil have in the grand story? No purpose. So why does he have to be in the film? He doesn't.
Right.
Right.
And that's what Peter Jackson said. He said, this film is about Frodo, Sam, and the Ring.
Right.
Everything else revolves around them. And that's what he said when he was trying to edit the final cut to the film. He said, we need to understand why these characters are doing this for Frodo and Sam.
Right.
And if it's not helping them at all, why is it in the film?
Yeah.
And that's what made that story flow correctly. It was about those characters. Mm-hmm. And that's why the narrative worked. Now, I don't know if that's what Tolkien was trying to get across, but that's what Peter Jackson was trying to get across, and that's why the narrative worked. What I would say that the Harry Potter film should have done was kind of the same thing. How does this impact Harry and his friends? For the most part, they do that, but not all the time. And Karen and Kim gave the exact same look at the exact same time. I just hit a heartstring right there. I just hit a very soft nerve. Go ahead, explain. What did I say? What did I say?
I was just gonna say, I feel like in Harry Potter, there's just so much that is important to what like Harry does and why and how it helps him get to what he is. Like all these things connect together to like influence like what ultimately happens in one way or another. And I feel like I almost want to say like in Lord of the Rings, it's not quite as much like little key things that later play important parts. There are some, yes, but I just don't know if there's as many, and that would make it.
Okay, I'm not gonna argue with you at that point, but I think there are some Tolkien fans who are gonna.
I know who are gonna hate me.
They're gonna really drag you to the streets. How dare you!
I know, but that's just what I feel. What were you gonna say?
Tomorrow morning, you're going to see 12 angry dwarves outside your door. Buru Kazar Kazaraimanu!
Right.
I don't remember.
No, I agree with what you're saying, to an extent. Like I always say, to an extent. But
I don't know. There's just a lot of little things.
There was
things that are used to
kind of like,
explain things.
A lot of backstory, like I guess, and I think part of the reason why the sixth movie kind of was a bit lacked flow was because there was a lot of backstory and kind of have to understand like because all of a sudden we're introduced to this new idea of the Horcruxes and so it's like even though they have kind of been little hints of that possibly but not really, so they kind of had to explain everything in this one film, which was basically what that film was for. And you did as Kim says, you do need kind of the explanations of like all these little things, kind of the relationship between like Snape and his and Harry's parents and things like that. So it's a lot of that backstory that was kind of thrown in there that kind of disrupted the flow. And and again, I mean, I kind of go back onto this whole idea where Peter Jackson knew the material he was, specifically dealing with. He spent his life with this material. Yeah. Whereas, the directors of the Harry Potter films, not necessarily, right? And I know that that's not an excuse or anything, but like if you're making that comparison,
right?
I think that's one of the big, one of the big things where
I think I agree.
Enough.
So
that's a really good point.
Okay, well, fair enough, and I do agree with that to an extent.
Long
story short, do my complaints make me a hater?
Yes. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, you're gonna continue calling me a hater, regardless.
But it's funny. Yeah, you get so angry.
Okay, see, you can call me a hater of certain things. You can call me a hater of Jason Freeberg and Aaron Seltzer if you want. Fine, call me a hater on that. Call me a hater of Twilight just for blind hate. Fine. I don't hate Harry Potter. I like some of the films. And I know I make the same complaints, but I make some of the same complaints about a lot of films.
I think the hate kind of comes from the lack of narrative, like which is and it's just. And I think that's what it is, and it's honestly, I think just fun.
Fine.
That's mostly what it is.
Yeah,
just egging me on. Yeah. All right. Well, we've kind of sidetracked for a while. That was a really good discussion, but we kind of got sidetracked for a while there. But we're actually going to get into our trailers now. The first one being Grudge Match.
You, my friend, are embarrassing yourself. A great performer knows when it's time to get off the stage, kid.
If one of you gets knocked out, is it safe to say you've fallen and you can't get up?
The whole world's laughing at us, but we're not dead. In fact, I feel more alive now than I ever felt.
Razor, why now?
I'm a fighter. I was born to be a fighter.
You got every right to hate me, but I need you in my corner.
No matter how hard you guys work, it won't be your best.
It's the best we got.
30 years after their second fight, Kid McDonough and Razor Sharp get ready to go at it again.
Now, this kind of goes back into the category of Escape Plan, a film that is 20 years too late.
Well, that's kind of the point of this movie. So it works better, but I will say, just this one thing I was thinking, I first saw this when we went to some movie. I forget what movie.
Yeah, we saw a movie recently and the trailer was in there, yeah.
And they were doing like Sylvester Stallone, whatever. He was in Rocky. Okay, he was a boxer, whatever. And then the other guy that he was fighting, I was like, Robert De Niro. That came out of nowhere.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm almost certain he was the main character in Raging Bull.
Oh,
So he
I
was a
never saw
boxer in
Raging
something.
Bull.
So
But
that's
he's not known for like
No,
this big
no, no,
muscular
no,
man.
no.
I was like, wow.
No,
I mean,
he's known for sometimes dramatic parts, but known for his well-performed parts, like in Godfather 2.
right.
You know, where, he was the younger Vito Corleone, and
No.
really
Wait.
subtle performances. Long story short, I think he did play a boxer. He was the boxer in Raging Bull. So that's what's really coming in. It's like, we want to see the boxer from Raging Bull fighting Rocky,
Okay.
And to that, it's kind of funny to see them both in the ring, but it's like, my God, these guys are falling apart.
Well, I don't know. It looks like Sylvester Stallone seemed like he remained fit for the beginning, like, how they're supposed to like get in shape and everything. But it looked, from what I could tell, like Robert De Niro did a pretty decent job of, getting back. It's hard to tell in the trailer.
Because I know Robert De Niro kind of let himself go for the Meet the Parents films. He was pretty heavy set for those films.
Paunchy.
Paunchy, yeah, he was
I
paunchy.
didn't even notice.
Yeah, he had a gut. Yeah, he had a pretty decent gut in those films. By the way, don't see the third one, Little Fockers. Oh my
I
God,
didn't
what
see that.
an awful film.
Really?
Oh yeah, that thing was awful. Just puns everywhere.
Oh, goodness.
Lines like, "Do you want to be the Godfucker?" Lines like that. Yeah,
Goodness.
that was like the whole film. It's like, no, go die. No, I'm done. You can make an argument for the first one. I kind of enjoyed Meet the Parents. Meet the Fockers was considerably weaker, but it still had moments. The third one, no. Go away. Just go away. But anyway, about this. I'm torn about this. You're right. The gag is that these guys are older and that they're retired. And you're going to have these two 55, 60-year-old men fight in the ring,
I have a question. Are they around the same age?
Yeah,
I think
that's
so.
what I was wondering too for a while. Like,
I'm pretty sure they are.
I know. I wasn't sure.
I
Like,
would think I would think Robert De Niro is a bit older, but they're
Yeah.
probably
Okay.
around the same age, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I wasn't sure about that. I was like,
Yeah, I was like,
Up until
wait.
recently, Robert De Niro hasn't aged nearly as well as Sylvester Stallone.
well, never mind. I'm not going to say.
Oh, no, what were you
I
going
don't
to
want
say?
to start any more rumors.
What? Go ahead.
If you look at Sylvester Stallone's face, can you tell me with the serious, honest look on your face that you don't think he's had plastic surgery
I
done?
think he's had something done.
Okay.
You're right.
So
in
that would explain something.
Yes. And to that end, I mean, Sylvester Stallone's been doing a lot more physical work in his films. Stuff like, he did Rambo and he did the other Rocky. Most of his films and even Expendables, they're fit films. He has to be
And all
working
the
a lot.
steroids,
Yeah, on steroids. Robert De Niro, not so much. He's had more laid-back films. I mean, he did an action film here or there, like Righteous Kill, which wasn't an action film, but it was more suspense. But everything else was Meet the Parents and Hide and Seek and, stuff like that where he's not running around. He's not shooting people. He's just relaxing,
He's just hanging around.
He's just hanging around, having a good time.
With Wonder Woman. They're just hanging around.
He's just hanging around. So, I don't know. I don't know if I can just get behind this film. I don't know. I'm tired of seeing the baby boomer films. This is geared towards baby boomers. It's like, look, we can still do stuff. We're old, but we can still do stuff.
But no, I kind of disagree with you on that. Like, I think that's a good thing that, these films are happening. Like, why should Hollywood be filled with just, like young people?
Yeah.
like
No, I agree with that too. But at the same time, there are films that are geared towards that demographic. I'm not saying everything has to be bucket list, but there's like another one coming out, Las Vegas, which is kind of the same thing. That looks fun, and that has, I think that has Robert De Niro too.
Yes,
it does.
It also has Morgan
Freeman
and
Kevin Kline. Kevin
Is it Calvin?
Calvin Klein?
Calvin
No, it's
Klein.
not Calvin Klein.
Calvin
It's
Klein.
Kevin. I think it's
Kevin?
Muscle in my shorts.
so
Do it, Morgan Freeman.
What? Whatever.
Still up the catwalk.
And I can't remember the fourth.
The other guy is Douglas, Michael
Michael
Douglas.
Douglas.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, I'm not dumb. I know one guy.
I never said you were dumb.
Everyone else thinks I'm dumb.
Yeah, that's true. No.
I
No.
don't.
Oh, thank you.
No.
He's just mean.
He is. It's filled with too much hate.
Yeah, I'm filled with hate.
That Harry Potter.
Stop it. Anyway, but I mean, do either of you have a yearning to see this? I mean, and I know it's not geared towards us, but I don't know. I mean, I'm tired of seeing these type of films. I mean, again, they're few and far between, but I just don't like the idea of, okay, we're retired, we're falling apart, but we're still going to go out and beat the hell out of each other, and we can still have these big action films. I'm not saying these actors still can't do stuff, but not this type of film, you know? I mean, look, when I hit 55, 60, am I going to want to see Channing Tatum up on screen falling apart?
You don't want to see Channing Tatum up on screen now.
That's beside the point, okay? Well, but let's say they have a film between Channing Tatum and Sam Worthington, you know, where they're fighting each other, and they're 60. I don't want to see that at that point. I'm sorry. And when I'm that age, I don't want to see them that. You know, I just don't.
You may think differently when you're that age. Because, you know, it's... but,
when I'm that age, I'm going to be sitting back, you know, just playing my Xbox and retire. When we're retired, we're going to have so much fun. Can you imagine retirement homes where we're like 70? It's just going to be people sitting around TVs just playing Xbox all day. Hey, I shot you down in a helicopter. We're going to have so much fun when we retire.
Right.
I don't know. I think, you know, if they still got it in them to do the movies and people are paying them to do the movies, why not do the movies? Like, it's, you know, as actors, it's like, it kind of sucks that when you pass, you know, a prime age, you can't really kind of do these kinds of movies anymore. And now if they have the opportunity, if that's, you know, kind of this trend that it's heading, you know, I mean, I don't have anything against it. I might probably am not necessarily interested in seeing it.
Okay.
But at the same time, I wouldn't say I have anything against it either.
Okay. Fair enough.
Like, I don't think I would want to go and pay money at the movie theater to see it. But if it's on, like,
if it's
TV
free
or something
if
like
it's free,
that.
yeah. Well, again, we're not the target demographic for this, but yeah.
So.
But, oh, well. Well, we'll see what happens with it.
I just want to say, I feel like Sylvester Stallone is like the main guy for these.
Oh, he's like, always the target. Yeah.
Like let me relive the younger days.
Relive the glory days. Yeah.
Whereas like Robert De Niro is babies, like you know he's doing other serious work. Yeah. In the meantime too.
That's very true.
Did you guys see The Expendables?
I saw the first one. I did not see the second one.
I saw the first one as well. I didn't see the second one.
I didn't see either.
Speaking of that film, and while I have you here, I want you to chat about this a bit. Do you think that Jet Li in that film was a negative stereotype?
I can't remember.
His name was... I shit you not. His name in the film was Yin Yang.
Then yes.
Yes. His name was Yin Yang. Not only that, but every time you see him, Jet Li is one of the best martial artists of our time.
Yeah.
And he kept getting his ass beat.
I know. I was
like, why? Why is he the punching bag of the team? Everyone else is out there just blowing shit up, and machine guns everywhere, and everyone's kicking ass. Jet Li's in the background getting his ass kicked.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah, why can't he stand on his own and beat the shit out of some guys, you know?
I remember that. I remember I was angry about that when I first, first saw that.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So, moving on, our next trailer is Need for Speed.
I do not fear, for you are with me. All those who defied me shall be ashamed and disgraced. Those who wage war against me shall perish. I will find strength, find guidance, and I will triumph.
I was going to bring this up. I knew it was one of the movies that we were going to talk about. I was going to bring it up when you were talking about Angry Birds. Because how can you make a movie about Need for Speed game?
Exactly.
Oh, right, it's a game. That's why it sounded so familiar.
Yeah.
I organized one of those for Robin, or something.
Yeah. And here's the thing you have to remember. The Fast and the Furious series, they could deny this up and down. Fast and the Furious was based off of Need for Speed. There was no real plot to Need for Speed. It was just people street racing, which is fine. And they made a plot out of Fast and Furious. You can argue the films now are really not about racing at all, but the first few films, I enjoyed them. The second one, not so much, but I really liked the first one. So, they made Fast and Furious. They then made games for Fast and Furious. They then took the game, which had inspired a film, and made a film based off that game because Fast and Furious was so popular. So think about this. They inceptioned the whole series. They had a game. They made a series of films that weren't directly tied to the game, but were inspired by the game. Then that series of movies created more games, and those films became so popular that the original game spawned its own film.
Okay.
So it went game, film, game, film.
Okay.
All right? So it's come full circle at this point. So Need for Speed is getting its own series, and there's really no point.
Right.
There is no plot to Need for Speed. Now, you can argue, like, the first Need for Speed that really had a plot was Need for Speed Underground, where it was about a street racer coming into a town. He had to get his own car and, had to, take out these street gangs that were basically bullying people on the streets, and they were all racers, too, and they fought in street races and stuff. And that was it. That was fine, but that's not a very strong plot, and it wasn't told that well in the game. It was just, okay, I don't want to see these plot points, just let me race, And they kept trying to tell stories like that with, like, Underground 2 and Carbon and Hot Pursuit and stuff like that, where there was no story. It's just, let me get to the races. I want to just skip the cutscenes, just let me get to the races,
Yeah.
There's no story. There doesn't need to be a story. Just let us watch the racing. Hopefully, this movie will get back to what the first Fast and Furious was, which was it's about the cars, and it's about how well you can shoot the street racing. That's what it should be about. The first Fast and Furious was kind of like that.
Okay.
And if they can get back to that, it could be good. But I hope it's not becoming like a huge heist melodrama like Fast and Furious has become, You can argue that's good, but it's not about Fast and Furious anymore. It's just about heist. So,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
So
It has it become like Gone in 60 Seconds?
pretty much.
Okay.
That's what Fast and Furious is now. It's like steroid-driven Gone in 60 Seconds.
Okay.
Again, yeah, like you said, with Angry Birds, there's no need for this.
Yeah.
They just are appealing to another name. They bought up another name and making a movie off of it. But again, Need for Speed has kind of died. No one really plays Need for Speed anymore. The games are still out there, and they can still be popular sometimes, but not as nearly as popular as something like Gran Turismo or Forza Motorsport, which I love Forza Motorsport, but that's it. It's just a racing game. There's no plot.
Right, exactly.
And that's just what you want. Just give me racing.
Yeah. It'd be like, taking NASCAR races, just a race, and then trying to make a movie about it.
Yeah, right. Now, I mean, you could say they did that with Days of Thunder, the old Tom Cruise film, but...
Yeah. I'm talking about just strictly the races.
Yeah.
Because that's what these video games are. You're just
racing.
Racing. You're not a character who is going and interacting with other characters.
No, you're not.
You're racing a car.
Right.
So that's not a story.
That's right.
When was this movie made? Was it recently, or was it like...
It had to have been... Well, I know they talked about greenlighting it early in the summer.
Oh, okay.
So it hasn't been in production too long.
Okay.
So, and again, it comes out this coming summer, I think.
Okay.
So it may have been in pre-production for about a year now.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, I guess they're also playing off the fame of what's-his-face, after Breaking Bad, right?
Yes,
like,
I forget that guy's name.
Aaron Paul.
I just call him Jesse.
Oh, okay.
He's Jesse from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
I forget his name.
Like, yeah.
That's been the joke online, is that this is what he's doing after Breaking Bad.
Oh.
he becomes a street racer, and he's dealing meth out of the back of his race car. By the way, that would be a fucking great continuation of Breaking Bad. Do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I may see this, but again, there's no plot from Need for Speed.
Okay, I don't care. You can make movies about street racing and have stories about them and the characters and what they do. But don't just bank off of a known name from a video game. Come up with your own original name.
Right.
Oh, what a thought. And then market it that way.
But that's just it. It's about the name. It's something like...
which is stupid.
I know it's stupid, but it's like something like...
irrelevant.
It's like something like Dragon Ball Evolution. Dragon Ball Evolution was the biggest piece of shit imaginable, but it wasn't about the movie. It was about the name that they had bought.
Battleship.
Battleship. And marketing the name. It was people walking up, they know nothing about the film, but they just recognize the name when they walk up. Oh, I know what that is. I'm going to see that because I know what that name is. That's all it is.
Well, we shouldn't pander to the idiots.
But Hollywood does pander to the idiots because it's the idiots who sadly make the money for Hollywood.
Yeah, I know.
But that's a whole other argument for another time. So moving on. One film I wanted to include because, again, every week now we're going to try and include 1 or 2 films around this season that are Oscar bait, and this is definitely one. And it's 12 Years a Slave.
I thought you know something.
I did as instructed. There's something wrong. It's wrong with the instruction.
Master brought you here to work. Any more, I'll earn you 100 lashes.
I know what it's like to be the object of Master's lash.
No!
In his own time, good Lord will manage them all.
I will survive. I will not fall into despair. I will keep myself hardy till freedom is opportune.
I really want to see this. This looks really good. Again, it's a pretty tragic tale, and I don't know how much this type of story occurred back in the 1800s, but this is pretty fucked up what occurs. You know, how often that you could, like, drug someone like this and then take them back for slavery. I don't know if that was the only way to be profitable, because I would think that there would be more profitable ways to get slaves, but that seems pretty rough that they would go about doing that just to one guy. Yeah. And Michael Fassbender looks like a bastard in this. Holy crap. I mean, he can play an evil guy, and I've seen him play evil guys, but in this, it's like, dude, you've gone. I don't want to say the Tropic Thunder. You've gone full retard. I don't want to say that. You've gone full asshole. Yeah, dude. Like, there's a shot I saw where he was on the Daily Show the other night, and he was advertising the film, and the shot that they had was basically he was telling the slave, "Come over here. I'm going to stab you," and the slave's like, "No." He's like, "You're disobeying me. You're my property. Come over here so I can stab you." Holy shit. It's like, dude, this guy's a fucking prick. Yeah. And the cast for this is amazing. Yeah. I forget the actress's name who's in American Horror Story, but she plays one of the wives in this, along with Brad Pitt, Paul Giovanni, Michael Fassbender, and I forget the lead actor's name, but I've seen him in a few other things. Yeah. This looks really good. And
also Benedict Cumberbatch is in it.
Is he?
Yeah. Okay. So
who does he play?
I don't know. Okay. So I've actually seen this trailer before, tonight, and
this is the fangirl coming out.
Yeah.
Insert squee here.
Yeah, and I know that this is a really serious movie and everything, and I know that I'm just fangirling here, and I apologize. But I was just wondering because the first time I saw this trailer, I don't actually recall seeing Benedict Cumberbatch in the trailer.
Nor did I. I didn't even know he was in it.
I didn't either. He was actually, when I saw it, when you sent me the link and I watched it again, I saw him at the, when they were like crediting people, like, Brad Pitt and, Michael Fassbender, and then all of a sudden Benedict Cumberbatch. And I'm just like, what? Like, so did they just put him in, like, at the end because of, like, his rising popularity recently or something? Because I honestly...
That's quite possible.
Because, yeah, like, I don't remember seeing him the first time I saw this trailer. So I'm just like, I'm like Benedict Cumberbatch. But... yeah, so I just wanted to kind of put that in there, and I don't know, I can't, like, I would have thought that I would have remembered him the first time I saw it, but
yeah.
Anyway, so.
Another little tidbit, do you know that he is doing the voice of Smaug in The Hobbit?
Of course I know. Yeah. What are you talking about? What kind of question is that?
I just found out that the other day. I was like, really? That's
really? You just found that out.
By the way, when we were talking about Fifth Estate the other day, Paul just screamed "Khan" as loud as he could. No, but I know anything Cumberbatch is going to have to go through Karen at this point.
Yeah, Cumberbatch.
I feel like whenever you're on, we should just have like the Cumberbatch alert or something like that, whatever he's doing now. Yeah. That with Tom Hiddleston. Did you see his impersonation of Owen Wilson?
I didn't see the one that you guys put up.
That was so funny.
I have seen his impersonation of Owen Wilson,
that was
a lot.
so good.
But yeah, he's
by the way,
good.
I would pay money to see Owen Wilson as Loki.
Loki.
I mean, come on, just bow. Anyway, so moving on. So getting into the horror films, because again, we promised we'd get into a few, but I don't know if you'd call this a horror film or not, but it's more macabre, I guess. And it's I, Frankenstein.
I was given life 200 years ago. I am like none other.
You have strength and speed and stamina, far beyond that of any human. You could use those gifts in a war that you are already a part of.
I go my own way.
You cannot save the human race. Nothing can stop their demise.
And Karen lets out a big sigh.
Yeah.
I mean, argument number one, this is not Frankenstein.
Thank you.
Exactly.
This is Frankenstein's monster.
Oh my gosh, it just annoys me so much.
There's an image I saw the other day, and it was like The Far Side, which is the monster answering the door, and it says, "No, Frankenstein's next door. Easy confusion." Oh my god! But no, this isn't Frankenstein.
No.
This is his monster.
Exactly.
For God's sake, Hollywood!
Get
How
it
can you not
right.
get that right?
Ah.
Mary Shelley is rolling in her grave.
Well, he has to have a name.
Then just call him the monster. Call him the monster.
I know, I'm just saying.
You could name the monster. Call him Dave. I don't know.
He's just not Frankenstein.
No.
Just,
Right.
We need to get that right.
I know. But this, I don't know where to start with this.
Yeah.
This is going the route. It looks like they are trying to do what they did with The Mummy, where they're turning a horror series into an action film. Now, again, I know we talked about this before. I liked the Mummy series up until the last film, which was the Tomb of the Dragon Emperor.
That was
shit.
really bad.
Really bad.
Oh my gosh.
But the first two, I liked them for what they were.
Yeah.
There were still moments of horror, but it was more action.
And
that's what it looks like they're trying to do with this. It's certain elements of horror here or there, but it's just going to be mostly action. I don't know if this is the type of story that warrants that type of film. You know?
You know what? It makes sense. It makes more sense using The Mummy because, you know what? The guy was still a mummy.
Yes.
Using the name Frankenstein, which, of course, we know his name is not Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I mean, this has nothing to do with any part of what Frankenstein
nothing
or
to
his
do with that
monster
lore.
was.
Yeah, there's nothing to do with this lore.
Nothing.
Say, oh,
You're
it's
just
200 years later.
No.
Now, by the way, Aaron Eckhart as the monster, kind of odd casting. Yeah. I don't know. No. Don't get me wrong. I love Aaron Eckhart. I think he's a fine actor.
Mm-hmm.
To him play the monster, I don't know. I just don't buy into that.
Yeah.
I know they put stitches on his face. They have him walking with a limp, and it's like I don't get that.
No.
I mean, you could get so many other actors in Hollywood who could be that old, decrepit, like someone like Jackie Earle Haley, someone who kind of looks messed up naturally, you know, and he could play that part pretty well. He wouldn't be a big, impressive, hulking monster. He'd be a kind of a small, timid guy, but he could still be strong and intimidating in his own way. Yeah. You know, I don't know. Aaron Eckhart does not strike me as the monster.
Or at least, I mean, I guess it's just that portrayal of the monster, right? Like, because, okay, kind of going back to Benedict Cumberbatch here. Benedict Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller, I think is his name, the guy who's, actually, both of them are Sherlocks, one on Elementary and the other on the BBC version.
Right.
They both played, there was a production of Frankenstein where they actually played both the monster and Frankenstein. And so they switched, I think, like in between, like between the nights or something.
Interesting.
So, and it was really interesting because they both had their own versions of the monster.
Right.
But I think a lot of it also has to do with, the way that they're writing the monster and, and like the makeup and everything. Like, they could have made Aaron Eckhart the monster. But when I saw the trailer, he was not. You know what I mean? Like, it was just...
Yeah.
And, that was just, my... Benedict Cumberbatch fact of the day there. Really didn't have anything.
I'm not saying, and I agree. I'm not saying he couldn't be the monster. Anyone could really play the monster if they cast it correctly, if they give him the right direction.
Yeah.
I just don't see Aaron Eckhart as that. He's just too much of a pretty boy. I think and just call Aaron Eckhart a pretty boy, I know it seems odd, but I think he's too pretty to be the monster. Yeah. It's like what they did with Beastly. You remember Beastly? It was kind of the same thing where it was a Beauty and the Beast tale, except they got this really pretty guy to be the Beast, and all they did to turn him into the Beast was give him some face tattoos. Yeah. That's not the Beast. You basically made him like a 9 Inch Nails fan. That's not a Beast,
Yeah, I just that wasn't the monster, like if like this kind of goes back, and you shouldn't need to. I mean, it's a complete. It's just I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
So angry. Like it's like you should, again, as you said, kind of going back to like this, reading the book and kind of going back to the movie thing. I know that it has nothing basically to do with Frankenstein,
right.
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, but at the same time, it's like you're not even keeping the correct elements in it.
No,
like,
you're not.
And it's
Now, I will say this about one element they do keep, which is that, and something that Kim and I were complaining about, is that every portrayal of the monster is always the slow, lumbering, stupid one. When in the original Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, he's close to being a philosopher. He's a brilliant guy. Yeah. The monster is not some lumbering buffoon.
Yeah.
He holds intelligence. The brain they put in him is a very functioning, smart brain.
Yeah.
But every portrayal you see is the dumb, lumbering oaf.
Yeah.
This is closer to that. He's normal.
Right.
And that's closer to what the monster should be than anything else we've seen recently, except for maybe Van Helsing, but Van Helsing was pretty bad for other reasons. But I don't know.
At least, I don't know. At least Van Helsing was actually, there was vampires. There was elements of what Van Helsing
lore,
actually is.
Yeah, there was the lore there, yeah.
This is the same thing as like Need for Speed. They're just using
the
word Frankenstein
right.
to draw people in.
Right. And again, and it comes down to you don't need to put this character into an action film.
Yeah.
You can, like something with Van Helsing. Van Helsing was an action film. But that was more geared to the different genres they were including, not just Frankenstein. He wasn't only fighting Frankenstein.
Right.
Or I should say the monster. With this, it's a bunch of different monsters fighting demons or angels. It's never really explained. Statues.
Just like,
it's like what the hell are you fighting?
Like,
I don't know. And it's them fighting immortals, and
it's like if they just took, the cartoon gargoyles.
Yeah.
And put
Which, by the way,
Frankenstein on it.
Oh, I love that cartoon.
Totally made it terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think we are all dreading this.
Yeah.
None of us are going to see this.
No.
Just no. Just stop.
And it's Frankenstein. Gosh. It's like emphasizing the fact that it's not.
Yeah,
anyway,
so
I'm
wrong.
sorry.
I know.
It's like,
by the way, if it was Frankenstein, wouldn't you think there would only be one monster? Yet somehow you see tens of thousands of them at one point. If that was the case, then it should just be like us monsters or us Frankensteins,
Yeah, I don't know.
We Frankensteins, I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
He had made the same argument for iRobot, and there's a ton of robots, and it's all about the one robot, but whatever.
Yeah, well, because he was different.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on. Another one up and getting into the actual horror films now, and this one is Devil's Due.
I found these weird symbols.
In early Christianity, there were groups of dissenters who felt that they could use these symbols for summoning an antichrist.
Jeez, you alright?
No, I'm fine.
Just stay there, alright? I'm going
totally
to get...
Fine.
Whoa!
Did I do that? I don't even know.
You were born from death. They are waiting for you.
Whoa.
They've been waiting.
What do you want? Leave us alone!
Did y'all see that?
Ma'am, are you okay?
What's she doing?
So basically, it's a found footage Rosemary's Baby with an exorcism.
Right.
Done.
There we go. Okay, moving on. That's a perfect summary right there. Yeah. Karen, have you ever seen Rosemary's Baby?
No, I have
No.
not.
That's actually a really good watch. I think it was late 70s that film came out. And again, it's kind of supernatural, but I think it's one that you'd be able to handle.
Okay.
And it's about a woman who has a struggling husband. The husband is trying to get his career going. I think he's an actor of some sort, and or a businessman, and he's really struggling. They're really trying to get by this. She's trying to get pregnant, but she can't. One night, she has this horrible dream that everyone in her apartment complex is standing around her room, or in this dark lit room, and everyone's holding her down on this slab, and she sees this thing approach her and basically rape her.
Okay.
She wakes up the next morning, and she's laying in bed with her husband, and she sees these claw marks on her back.
Right.
And he's like, "What was that?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I kind of got a little rough last night." And she says, "You had sex with me while I was passed out?" He said, "Well, yeah, it was our night to have fun." She's like, "Honey, that's kind of messed up." And he's like, "Well, sorry, and you had a little too much to drink, and I had too much to drink. It just kind of happened." Well, she ends up getting pregnant. And as the movie progresses, like, the pregnancy isn't going well. She's in a lot of pain. She's like wincing a lot, but eventually she starts getting better. Her neighbors give her these different types of meds, these like herbal drinks. But she starts realizing that she is not carrying her husband's baby. It is the devil's baby.
Right.
I won't ruin the ending for you.
Okay.
But that's the basis of Rosemary's Baby.
Okay.
That's what devils do, basically, is. You have a woman who somehow has been impregnated by some sort of demon or the devil, and now she's possessed by it. Now, Rosemary was never possessed by the child. So that's something they've added here, and again, that turns into the Exorcist type of notion.
Well, I could bring something up, but you two haven't seen it, so
No, what is it?
I don't want to ruin anything.
What is it?
It's the first season of American Horror Story.
Oh, okay. That's okay. We're going to sit down at some point and watch that first season. So that's okay. But do they have something like that in the first season?
Kind of. I'll just stick with kind of.
Kind of.
I'm not going to ruin anything.
Okay, fair enough. But, yeah, this isn't a new plot point. I mean, this has been going back to, like, medieval times. The idea of something supernatural taking advantage of a woman and then the woman becoming possessed by what's ever inside her.
Oh, you know what? Oh, what was that movie with Demi Moore?
Demi Moore?
Yes, she's pregnant and it's, like, going to, like, start, like, the apocalypse. I want to say it's, like, 12 Signs or something like that. I could be way off on the name. But Google it.
Okay.
Got nothing.
I don't know either. There's something kind of similar to that in End of Days. You remember End of Days? That was a Schwarzenegger film.
End of Days.
Where there was this girl who was born on a particular day, and she was marked for basically being the mother of the Antichrist. But again, she was like a 19, 20-year-old kid. But then in 1999, on the new year, the devil has to impregnate her. So basically, Schwarzenegger has to unravel this whole mystery and kind of protect her from being assaulted by the devil, kind of deal. You know, a lot of stories follow that narrative.
Yeah.
It's like, find the innocent virgin and impregnate her. Okay, story. Another trope to follow. But I don't know how this one's going to go. It looks like for like the first 3-4 months of the pregnancy, they assume everything's going well, everything's normal, and then you see the one shot of the baby almost like going alien inside her stomach and like bursting out. Like, oh shit.
Yeah, it was funny because when after I finished watching the trailer, I read the top YouTube comment which was there because the tagline for the movie is like nothing will prepare you for this film or something.
Yeah.
And then so the top comment was nothing will prepare you for this film. Except for this trailer, because basically this is the whole entire movie. So, I don't know.
That's kind of true.
Yeah.
That's very true. And something that Kim and I have talked about before with horror films, they're showing way too much in the trailers. Mm-hmm. It really just trailers in general. But yet this one, they've summed up the whole movie. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They really have. It's like we don't know what the conclusion's going to be, but we can predict the first hour and 20 minutes of this film.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Basically.
But again, I'm not particularly piqued by this. I don't think I really want to watch this.
No.
And something we were talking about before, almost every other horror film now is doing found footage. Mm-hmm. They are becoming so common, when before it was kind of a novelty. It really started off with something like Cannibal Holocaust. Then about 2 decades later, they did Blair Witch Project, and then it kind of revamped again. And there were some films in between, but then it kind of revamped with Paranormal Activity. Right. But since Paranormal Activity, it's been every other fucking film.
What came out first, Paranormal Activity or Cloverfield?
I think it was Cloverfield.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure Cloverfield came out before Paranormal Activity.
Okay. I feel like that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Kind of unsure, but
yeah, and again, there were some in between, like, because this is a thing I like to tell people about how these found footage things really started and how it really impacted like the internet and like social media. The Blair Witch Project was the first internet film. It was the first film that was made bigger because of the internet. It was like 1998, 99, somewhere in there, and it was made real by the fact that people didn't know whether or not it was real or not. And I know I talked to some critics in Austin who knew it was fake, but they told friends it was real, because if you went in thinking it was real, it made it all the scarier, which is why it worked so well during the time. When I was a kid, I was like 13, 14 at the time, I thought it was real, and I was scared shitless by it.
Right.
To this day, I still like the movie. I still have some people who are like, they get nauseous by it. They think, oh, this is all fake now. But like, no, if you watch it and you think this is real, if you tell people it's real the first time they watch it, they get freaked the fuck out by it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing with Paranormal Activity. Now, that one succeeded because it was the first Twitter film. That was the first film where people went out and saw it in theaters and started tweeting, oh my god, you guys have to see this movie, demand it in your town. And that's how it spread. It had no budget. There was no way that film was going to get a wide release. But then Spielberg saw it, and Spielberg said, well, I'll fund it so long as people demand it. And then everyone went on to Twitter and said, demand this film in your area. I remember I actually went and saw it. Before it got the big release, they had one showing at the Regal Cinema down in People's Plaza. And I went and saw it down there.
Okay.
And in that environment, it was scary.
Right.
And then eventually it got a wide release about 2 weeks later. I came to Movies 10 and I watched it again. It wasn't nearly as scary the second time, but it was good. But now every other movie is doing this, and no one's buying into it anymore.
Right. It's lost the uncertainty of whether it's real or not.
It's lost the mystique. Yeah. Like things like Chernobyl Diaries or The Devil Inside or even something like Project X. You know, it's no one is buying that these are real anymore. Never again.
Right.
I can't recall when Quarantine came out, but Rec probably came out in that gap in between two. I'm almost certain that Rec came out before Paranormal Activity. Okay. But that kind of fit into it too, overseas.
Right.
Rec was really good. And then they remade that in the Quarantine, and now everyone's trying to do found footage remakes, which, by the way, we mentioned this last week. They're doing a Troll Hunter remake for America, which I don't know how they're going to do that, because Troll Hunter, it dove so much into like Scandinavian lore.
Yeah, exactly.
How are they going to make that in America?
That's nothing to do with Americans or anything.
Do they have trolls in Canada?
I mean, they might have internet trolls.
The internet trolls.
Is that what it's going to be about?
I said that last week. I said if this movie was about actual trolls on the internet, it would be so cool.
I don't think it would have quite the same impact.
It wouldn't. You find the troll is just some little 13-year-old kid in his room in his basement. Just the light of his computer screen. But, I don't know. Again, both Paul and I love found footage films. But if you saturate the market with them, it's going to lose its novelty, and you're not going to want to see them anymore.
Right.
So.
Right. You know what? Kind of what I was just thought popped into my head. That the Poughkeepsie tapes. That was like that was a new way to do found footage.
Oh, man.
Where it's more of where it actually like it's this whole like investigation, this case about this killer who taped his victims, like when he kidnapped them and what he did to them in whatever
And that's
torture.
a different take on the found footage.
Yes.
And by the way, Karen, we should sit down and watch Poughkeepsie tapes.
No.
I want to see your reaction to this
No,
movie.
don't make Karen watch that.
Okay, now here's the thing. If you guys want to look up Poughkeepsie tapes, I think there's a video on YouTube of it, and I would recommend you watch it. It's different. I don't think it got a wide release, but
I don't think
and
so.
it came out a few years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But there is a full version on YouTube. It may be taken down eventually, but
Who knows?
if you can watch it, definitely watch it. It's a different take. Again, it's a serial killer's view of him performing his kills.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that makes it work, I think it really preys on female fears.
Okay.
Really female fears. I mean, this is a guy who is really just targeting women.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what he does to the women.
Okay.
Now, as a guy, I can be scared of that, but it's not going to be as visceral as what this guy does. I mean, with this one woman, he just wrongs her in so many ways, this one poor woman that he kidnaps. And not just that, but also what he does to families and to and little children. And I just think it as a mother, how you would feel like towards this film.
Right.
And it's all the fears combined that a woman would have. And I remember watching it with Kim and her aunt and her cousin.
And my sister.
And her sister. And there's this one scene where I just saw them scream so loud. And they had such a visceral reaction. I was sitting there. It was frightening. But they all basically wanted to run out of the room horrified.
Right.
I've never seen that type of reaction from any type of group. I was like, oh my God, this movie just hit its point so perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that scene, I was like, holy fuck. And again, it was scary. But to see their reaction to it, I was like, this filmmaker is amazing.
Okay.
Just what they did with that found footage, I was like, wow.
Right. But I mean, it was a different way. I mean, at the end, they kind of cheesed it up with the things that they said.
True. True.
But it was a different way to do found footage where literally they explained how they found this footage of a serial killer.
Right.
And it wasn't the same, like, you know, with the type, these tapes were found in...
It was more of a documentary than a found footage.
Yes.
Right.
With
and that's what
inserted
made it work.
with clips from what he taped.
Right. And that's what made it work. And that was good. Right. So,
yeah.
If something like that was done for Devil's Due, maybe that'd be interesting. But again, it's just another rehashing of found footage. And moving on to our last trailer, which is again found footage, is going to be Paranormal Activity 5, The Marked Ones.
Please, inside now.
Did someone die?
I saw myself. The lady who got killed, she lives right under me.
I had an idea. Let's go check downstairs. Holy, there's blood everywhere. Katie and Christy. What is this?
This is some black magic stuff.
Hey.
She's got pictures of you. How does she have pictures of you?
Dude, I had crazy dreams. Check it out.
What is that?
It looks like a bite or something. I've been getting this weird feeling.
Have you guys ever felt like something is watching you? You got change?
Yeah, I got changed.
Careful, don't point the camera at them.
What's up? What's up, man?
Hey, back there! Hey, get my back! Stop it! Stop!
Yeah, Kim was saying this last night. We were talking about how this Halloween we weren't going to get a Paranormal Activity and how I was so happy.
I didn't say any of it. You said
I
it.
did. I had said, oh my God, we don't have a Paranormal Activity this Halloween. I'm so happy. The next fucking day, the trailer is released for Paranormal Activity 5. Fuck everything.
You
For the love
blew
of
it.
God, I blew it. Hollywood said, yes, he's not expecting it now. Release the trailer. Fuck you. Son of a bitch. Damn it, I'm so sick of these movies. I'm so sick of Paranormal Activity. Okay, look. Like we were just talking about. The first one was pretty good.
Yeah.
The second one, it did not create a good atmosphere. That atmosphere was awful. We don't care about those people. The third one, I actually like the lore behind it. It was a different story for found footage films, and I liked the atmosphere they created in that. Just because they set it back further enough that, again, it went back to that one camera. You know, with maybe one extra one somewhere, I think, in the girls' room. So it's like 2 cameras. And that was good. The fourth one, for all intents and purposes, was a piece of shit. Now they're taking it, I'm sorry, into the ghetto. And they're dropping it amongst this family that really has no ties to the original family.
Yeah, it's such a discrepancy to what they said, because we just watched it last night. In the second movie, they're like, oh, it has to be bloodlines.
Yeah. Now, in the fourth one, it wasn't bloodlines. It was like a neighbor. But somehow it's still tied into what was discussed in the first 3 films.
Okay.
In this, how does this have anything to do with the original characters? I think you see the girl from the second one, the daughter in the second one.
Yeah, she's
you see her in one
something
clip. Yeah, she was talking about how
her stepmom and
her
step aunt.
Yeah, stepmom and her dad had been killed by blank, and all this shit. And I was like, well, okay, so she's here, so it's tying it into the films that way. But you know what would be an interesting tie-in is if the kids in here, if their mother or like their aunt was the Hispanic woman from the second film. That would be an interesting tie-in. Like the demon follows her around now.
Yeah.
Because I know Karen's looking at us lost. In the second film,
No.
I don't know. Well, in the second film, they actually kind of have like a small exorcism of one of the women who's possessed.
Right.
And it's not a priest. It's not a rabbi. It's this Hispanic woman who's like a caretaker for the house.
Okay.
It's Consuela, and she's staying there. And she feels the demons.
No demons.
No demons home. No. No, I clean. No.
No diabetes.
No diabetes. Karen is so lost.
What is going on?
It's a Family Guy.
It's a Family Guy joke where there's it was like one of the Hispanic women's children. The kid's name is Diabeto, and he's just a ball of fat. Mama, can I have cookie? No, Diabeto, roll back into your room. Oh, and he just rolls away. Well, anyway, so the Spanish woman can feel the dark spirits in the house, and she decides to have like a seance or an exorcism of some sort. And I know it's getting hot in here. We'll finish up here in a minute, but if they had a tie-in to that in the fifth one, maybe that would be interesting. Like somehow she has some sort of ways of preventing these demons, like maybe she had some sort of tie-in to the occult or something earlier in her life. That'd be interesting, but I don't think that's the route it's going.
No,
it's
it looks
just
like
some random kid,
yeah, looks like they're gonna do like, I could be wrong, I could be mixing it up, but like another just exorcism.
Yeah,
on the kid. Like I'm so sick of it. That's what I kind of liked about the first one. It didn't have any exorcisms in it. Yeah. Like, wow, what a novel idea. You don't have to have a horror movie with an exorcism in it.
Yeah, really.
And
just because there's a demon doesn't mean you have to remove the demon,
Right.
Yeah. I was just going to say, that first one wasn't a possession film. It was about a demon stalking a family. The second one was about possession a little bit, and the third one was kind of like that.
Okay.
The fourth one, again, getting back into that trope, it was about a virgin sacrifice. And it was about the girl in that film, that snotty, well, not a snotty brat, but like that tween brat in that film being a virgin sacrifice for Katie or something.
Okay.
It's like, what the fuck is going on here? How did we get virgins into this, And it's so weird. And I think what made the fourth film not work is that no one liked that girl. The tweens who went into it probably related to her, but no one our age related to that little tween bitch,
Okay.
So with this...
So much anger.
I know.
I'm sorry. I hate that movie. Anyway, so this, again, everyone was saying do something different with it. The last 4 films have all been in suburbia. They've all been pretty well-off white families.
Yeah.
So do something different. Okay, well, now they're going into the city. Is that the right way to go? I don't know, but they're trying to do something different. I don't think it's going to work.
If that's your idea of doing something different, then
That's Hollywood's idea of doing
no,
something different.
I didn't mean you as in you.
Yeah,
I meant
yeah.
you as in the people making the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what Hollywood thinks is something different, something to, appeal to the masses. Oh, look, we're going to go into the city now. You know what would have been more interesting? Go into, like, the middle of nowhere. Go into, like, a farmhouse, where you're so isolated there's nowhere to go. That would be interesting. It doesn't have to be a white family. It could be any family.
Mm-hmm.
But go somewhere else. Yeah, get out of suburbia, fine. But just go elsewhere.
Right.
That doesn't have to be the city. I feel like there's so many people in the city, there's real no threat. Everyone around is going to see it. And there was one part of this trailer that was interesting where the kid who was getting, like, beaten up by, like, a couple of guys, he's able to, like, throw him away with, like, his mind. It's like, wait a minute. If this demon is, like, protecting the kid, that would be a really cool twist. And that would make it interesting. But I don't think that's the route they're going down.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if the kid was using the demon's abilities or if the demon was protecting him. But
the demon could have been protecting himself.
Yes, that too, because the demon is inside the kid.
Yeah. Because at the end, didn't they say they were just like, "Oh, Jesse's not going to be Jesse anymore."
Right. That's exactly what they say.
Yeah. So.
So I don't know, but if that was the route they went down, instead of, like, my pet monster, my pet demon, that would be pretty cool. But I don't know. I'm not looking forward to this. I don't want to see it. I'm tired of this whole series.
No.
I think the only people asking for another Paranormal Activity were stupid tweens because they don't know what good horror is.
Yeah.
They just don't. They think, oh, this is the best series ever happened to horror. Go fuck yourselves. This is not good horror. I know, my hate. I know. But this isn't good horror. It's just jump scares. I haven't found one good horror moment in this entire series. Now, there have been good jump scares, but there hasn't been any good horror in it.
I would disagree.
To what end?
I think in the first one, it's not all jump scares.
There are some...
yeah.
And some intense moments, but I wouldn't say they were horror. It was more intense. I wasn't horrified by them. I was just kind of, on the edge of my seat. But you can do that with really anything.
Well, see, I was scared. Maybe it's just because I'm a girl. I don't know.
No,
don't say that. Don't say that.
Just the thought of, because your bed is probably the most secure place you can be.
Yeah.
I think of, like, if I go and lay in my bed, I'm safe in my bed.
Right.
And I'm happy and I'm sleeping. But, like, but you're also vulnerable when you're in your bed. I know I contradicted myself.
Because you're happy and you're sleeping.
Yeah. But, like, the sound, like, the footsteps creep me out because in the first movie, when the camera's set up in their room and they're sleeping, you can hear the footsteps of the quote-unquote ghost demon walking up the steps, walking into their room.
Right.
And that creeps me out. Just like if I were to be in bed and I heard footsteps when no one else was home or everyone else was asleep and I heard footsteps coming up my step and coming into my door, I'm pretty sure that I would. Yeah. So that, to me, is horror.
Okay.
If that scares me and makes me, like, not want to be alone at night, then that's horror.
Good. Very good point. And I will say that, to that end, what happens to Kay towards the end of the film? She gets drug out of that security blanket.
Right.
Blanket, if you will. Sorry. She gets drug out and then drug down the hallway.
Yeah.
And gets assaulted.
Something.
Or something. We don't know exactly what happens. But
she's overcome.
I will say this. This is a joke that happened at the theater while the first film came out. I know I mentioned
I've heard
this
probably 20 times.
20 times now, but I haven't said it on the podcast before, so let me just say this and then we'll get going. One of my coworkers, Leah, really funny girl, we were chatting about the film and we were talking about that one scene, and what does this demon, what does this ghost want from Katie? Because it keeps, doing things, like slamming the door and, pulling the sheets off her and this, and then finally dragging her down the hallway and, like, biting her on her thigh and stuff like that. And it's like, what does this demon want? And Leah said, he probably just wants some punani. I was like, Olivia, what the fuck? She's like, what? It's the truth. Just let the demon get some punani and he'll leave you alone. Karen facepalmed. It's true. I mean, if it'll get the demon to go away, just let it do its thing.
Oh my goodness.
And on that, I think we're gonna call it a night.
Oh boy.
So
you're not even gonna let Karen say something if she wants to?
No, Karen, you want to say something?
I don't think I have any words.
Okay.
So there's nothing there.
There's nothing. She has nothing left.
Oh my goodness.
Well, Karen, I hope you enjoyed yourself on your first episode.
I did.
Good.
Lots of fun.
Good. I'm glad you're here. And Kim, I want to thank you for coming by again.
Okay. Coming by like I'm not here all the time.
Well, you weren't here for the last episode.
Never mind. Okay.
And we'll be back hopefully in a week or two with a few more trailers, and hopefully, Karen, you'll be back again.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in town semi-permanently, so
exactly.
Hopefully you'll be able to come back again.
Yeah.
And I think my fans will like your commentary.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
very excited.
So, have a good night, everybody, and take care.
Bye.